Hey guys, welcome. It is Wednesday morning, 8:43 a.m. during free agency. I give you the time on everything we're doing. This was middle of the night, early a.m. Pacific time that the 49ers signed linebacker Arik Kendricks. And we'll get some updates on Arik Armstead as well. I got some audio coming from two different places right here. Hold on a second. Got to close that out. Oh my God. All right, unplug this. All right, so the Armstead update I'll get to in a second, but first, the Adam Schefter news, which was I think 3 a.m. Pacific. Niners sign Arik Kendricks, 1-year deal. Chargers captain last year, started 14 games, finished second on the team with 117 tackles. Derwin James had more tackles than him. He turned 32 years old in February. This is a guy that's been very productive. The question is, how much productivity does he have left, and what are you asking him to do? And I think for what the Niners need, this is a good signing. It's Dre Greenlaw insurance. It's a really good linebacker if he's your third linebacker, if Greenlaw comes back healthy. I think it's not just Dre Greenlaw insurance for if Greenlaw doesn't get back. I think it's Dre Greenlaw insurance for if Greenlaw gets back, but maybe isn't 100%. Can't play as many snaps as he's used to playing, maybe is taking it slow, all those sorts of things. So I know people are very optimistic about Greenlaw, but what I like about this is it just lets you take a breath and not put too many eggs in the Greenlaw basket. That's what concerned me when we had the positive kind of medical report from Greenlaw's doctor. You know, things are going well, high performance athletes. These guys get back from this thing in 9 months. Let's not rush it. So as I look at my 49er board, my 49er depth chart here, what this allows you to do is just check something off, right? We've got a team that needs more defensive line depth. They need another cornerback or a nickel, whichever, and they needed a linebacker. So we check off the linebacker box. You need another receiver. You need a tight end. You need another offensive lineman, right? So let's just check off those boxes. You need a return guy, potentially. Ray, an unrestricted free agent. So check off those boxes. How good is Arik Kendricks? You know, I think there's always questions about that when you look at a team that was bad, even though they were talented. I mean, you look up and you go, all right, their leading tacklers last year were Derwin James, Arik Kendricks, Kenneth Murray, Khalil Mack, Asante Samuel, Michael Davis. Those are really good players. Now, none of them, well, I guess Khalil, are defensive linemen. Joey Bosa actually had less solo tackles last year. How about this stat for you? Joey Bosa had fewer solo tackles last year for the Chargers than former 49er Sebastian Joseph Day, who had 16 solo tackles, and Joey Bosa had 15 solo tackles. But we'll get to Joey in a second. So this allows the Niners to check something off the box, move on to other things. You know, I don't think you're getting, you know, you are not getting the first team All-Pro, Pro Bowl level linebacker that he was with the Vikings, but you're getting an excellent player, captain, C on the chest. Brandon Staley, apparently relationship's fine enough. Arik Kendricks likes him enough to take the Niners money. Very cool for him. We'll find out any factor for him being closer to home. From Clovis, California in the Central Valley, went to Hoover High School, which is right down the street, truly right down the street from Fresno State, on the same street as Bulldog Stadium, basically. I lived across the street from Hoover High School for a year with Steve Braun and Jared Halpert. Haven't talked to Jared in a while, but he owes me a few bucks for PG&E. I talked to Steve the other day. But he's a really good player, right? An experienced player, a productive player. And I was a little bit surprised, if you're into the Pro Football Focus grades, this is where Arik Kendricks graded out Pro Football Focus, the group of guys around him. And I'll take you through these columns here. The left column of numbers, the first column you see, where you see Dre Greenlaw ranked 23rd among linebackers, Patrick Queen ranked 24th among linebackers, Arik Kendrick ranked 25th among linebackers, and Levante David ranked 25th among linebackers. So their overall grades are the first number, all very similar. The second column of grades is run defense, where PFF graded Arik Kendricks higher than Dre Greenlaw or Patrick Queen in run defense, and a little behind Levante David in run defense. Next column over, this is pass rush. Eric Kendricks ranked much higher in a pass rush grade, but it's also I think what you jump over to the next column, you see coverage. This is of particular interest. Pass rush less so for the 49ers than coverage grade on linebackers. And Dre Greenlaw ranked very high, right? This is a significant coverage grade for Dre Greenlaw, 79.5. That makes him basically like a top 10 linebacker in coverage, or just about, talking about Dre Greenlaw, a top 10 cover linebacker or close to it. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, it makes him 11th in the I almost said GFF, in the PFF grades. Dre Greenlaw 11th in pass coverage. Fred Warner 10th. Only 10 linebackers graded with a grade of 80 or better. So that was encouraging. I mean, I think you look at it and you go, they added him last year hoping for a major impact. They got tackles. I don't think you can always use tackles as the greatest indicator, especially on bad teams. There's a lot of tackles out there to be made. Somebody's got to make them. Usually it's like the linebacker and the safety. So I wouldn't fall over myself over the fact that he had a ton of tackles last year. But I do think when you just consider what it is they need, what he gives them, it's exactly what they need. It's not just an on the field need. He's kind of a much higher level player than what the Niners got relative to his position, than Isaiah Oliver at his position. That was Steve Wilkes' guy. Here comes a Brandon Staley guy who's a more productive player. And then I think really he just gives you some peace of mind and lets you move on today, tomorrow into free agency from linebacker. I've had a few people ask, like, what about D. Winters? Somebody asked this here earlier. What about D. Winters and Jalen Graham? What about them? I mean, what they need is more time to develop. There wasn't much indication this year that they were about ready to step up into that LB3 role. And so this is not surprising. I mean, these are late round picks. If one of them is going to turn into Dre Greenlaw or Fred Warner or 80% of those guys, great. Hasn't happened yet. It's fine. No rush. Don't need it to happen. And then the other peace of mind is just the Greenlaw part of it, right? Letting him, not feeling obligated to Dre, I guess, or Dre not feeling obligated to, like, we got to get back. I got to get back. I got to get back. I got to get back. And, push it, rush it. And like I said at the beginning, before I move on to Arik Armstead, I think it's twofold, right? It's the part of him that doesn't want to rush back, and then it's the part of him that could get beat up as a game or a season goes along. It's happened before. So good signing. Don't see the money yet, have not seen the money yet as a Wednesday morning on that. As for Arik Armstead, yesterday morning, I put it at 65% return. I lowered it to 45% yesterday. And now it's even lower, knowing the whole time that if the Niners were going to make him a post June 1 cut to save money on the cap, he'd have to be on the team that through today, the first day of the league year. So that was a factor. But I also believed he was still in contact with the 49ers, the potential that he might still find the best deal from them or something close to the best deal for them, I thought existed. And maybe I will still not put it at a 0% chance that he returns, but I think we've got to lower it to like 10%. Matt Barrows wrote this today, barring an 11th hour deal, the 49ers are expected to release Arik Armstead this afternoon. The other team to keep an eye on is the Chargers, who are roughly $25 million over the cap and might have to cut some prominent names. Follow Daniel Popper for all the news in Harbaugh land. So that was the first part of it. And then the second part of it is Diana Rossini, shortly after Barrows wrote that, said teams are expected to have interest in Arik Armstead. Sources tell me one of them includes the Titans. Rand Carthen knows Armstead from his San Francisco days. Makes sense. There's a lot of connections out there for Arik. The Jets are probably off the table. The Texans are probably off the table, but the Titans would make a ton of sense. Interesting that Barrows mentions the Chargers in all of this. Eric Kendricks, not the last Charger to be released this week. Still waiting on who will get cut from LAC of that group of expensive players: Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams. Khalil's making $38.5 million. Joey Bosa's number this year is 36.6. Keenan Allen's is 34.7. And Mike Williams is 32.46, so 32.5. The most likely cut of that group has to be Joey. I can't imagine. I mean, just think about everything you know about Jim Harbaugh and everything you know about Khalil Mack. Jim Harbaugh, there is no way Jim Harbaugh wants to cut Khalil Mack. There is not a chance. I think of that group of guys, he would like Khalil Mack and Keenan Allen the most. We'll see what ends up happening. I think the most likely of that, if you told me two guys get cut from those four, my guesses would be Joey Bosa. And I know Mike Williams is younger, but Joey Bosa and Mike Williams. And I think Joey's going to be at the top of the list. So, we talked on the show the other day, like, who's better? Who would you rather have? Khalil Mack was the best player on that defense this year, but I think he's far less likely to be cut than Joey Bosa. Now, would you want Joey Bosa at a market price? Whatever. We don't really exactly know what the market price for Joey Bosa would be. Would he take a discounted rate to play for the 49ers? He's going to be 29 years old. You're asking a 29-year-old to take a discount rate. How many big contracts does he have left? So I'm inclined to think if he were to do a discount rate, it's a 1-year prove-it deal, then try to get signed by somebody next year while you're still, semi-prime-ish from an age standpoint. But he's got to prove he's healthy. He hasn't been healthy in 3 years. Hasn't played back-to-back 16-game seasons in his career at all, Joey Bosa. So, I think we're looking at what the Niners have done so far. Defensive linemen adding up to about $30 million this year, maybe a little bit more than $30 million in their signings on the defensive front. It's been about depth. If you want Joey, you'd get a great sense from State. Like this, Brandon Staley would pay dividends if he had an opinion on Joey Bosa. And of course he has an opinion on Joey Bosa. The Chase Young experience, for better or worse, that was Nick's guy. And he said, "Oh, this guy." And it was like, "Oh, okay." Now what you paid for him was fine. Chase Young ends up starting for you. So you needed him. The trade, people, I think there'll be some, if he goes off somewhere else, maybe some revisionist history on the Chase Young trade. There was a reason he was available. There was a reason he was available for the price, right? Remember, it was like Montez Sweat and Chase Young are available, and Chase Young went for significantly less than Montez Sweat. The league knew, the market told us, the Niners understood, eyes wide open. Cleveland Ferrell ends up getting hurt. This guy immediately is better than Randy Gregory, and he plays. So it was fine. It worked out. He started in the Super Bowl for you, played well. Like it was good, but it was not what you need out of a long-term edge opposite of Nick Bosa. And, the Niners have shown, and I think it's mostly good that, they listened to Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. Those guys weren't thrilled with the defense last year. They didn't like, especially Fred, didn't like having Steve Wilkes up in the booth, bring him down to the field. And it whether or not there was a direct correlation, I think probably not, but it stopped it was part of stopping the losing streak. Again, the correlation is flimsy. So we know they take their input. And I think I've said this before, this is not just a Joey Bosa thing. When you coach or you run a team, you coach and you run the team, right? Listen to your star players, but they don't get just a blank request sheet. Everything they want, you do for them, right? So just, do it for the right reasons. That's all I'm saying. Do it because you believe, because your coaches believe, because your front office believes, not because your star player is going to be happy. I love going back to the old Don Draper. That's what the money's for. We're paying to play football. Hopefully winning turns into happiness. We're not just making happiness deals here. That said, for the right price, I am interested in Joey Bosa. I would be. Now it's hopeful, but so far the Niners have made moves that are more depth related. And as we've been sitting around for 3 days, you're seeing the Danielle Hunters of the world, right? These guys are getting signed. Give Joey Bosa a game-to-game contract. Cheap Josa, I'm in. No way in hell they cut Mac. It's just think about everything you know about Jim Harbaugh and the type of players that he likes. Would he be into that? The Bosa family doesn't take discounts. Mom may tell Joey to make an exception in this case. I know. That's what everybody thinks. Like, this is not what they do. But sometimes having FU money, you accumulate it so that later you can do things that are not. That's what FU money is, right? Then you don't have to make the decisions based just on the money. You can get paid. So, Killed for Camping says, what does that mean? Says Armstead is dreaming if he thinks he's getting $20 million in free agency. I don't think he thinks he's getting $20 million in free agency. The Niners wanted to give him a pay cut on the $17 million he was making. We don't know exactly what number they wanted him to take instead. I guessed yesterday, just straight guess, that maybe it'd be around $12 million. And the reason I guess $12 million is that is a little bit more than Leonard Floyd, than Yetur Gross-Matos. I don't think you would sign Leonard Floyd, give him $12 million in year one, and then ask Arik Armstead to take $10 million. I don't think you would. I mean, you could. That would be an immediate no, right? If you say, hey, man, you want to take $10 million? Let's say he'd agreed to $10 million on Monday, and then you sign Leonard Floyd for $12 million later that day. Not ideal. So that's why I'm not saying they wouldn't or that teams don't operate that way, but that's why that was my guess. Like, all right, Arik, will you take 12, right? 12 and a half, let's say. That's just my guess. Maybe hopefully we'll find out. We'll find out if that's a good guess. So if you're Armstead, would you take 13 from Tennessee? You know what? You guys have pissed me off. We had a contract for 17 plus million. You want me to take 12 and a half, or maybe the number's low, maybe it's 8, but you want me to take 12 and a half. Is 12 and a half in Tennessee? You know what? I'm just going to go there. Fresh start. Thank you very much. But you've shown me your true, I don't know. Do they have to pay him 14? Would Tennessee pay him 14? So those are the number. I'm just guessing those numbers. Maybe we'll find out that those numbers are much lower. AJ says, should we be concerned that Mahomes restructures his contract? LOL. The pessimist in me sees them getting a top receiver. Yes, absolutely. You should. Of course, that's happening. Yes. I expect that to happen. They're going to get somebody sweet. I mean, they won the Super Bowl with basically no receivers for half the year. Roberto says he'd prefer Khalil Mack. I think everybody would. Clarzard, what position did Gross-Matos play in Carolina? I saw him play defensive tackle. I mean, if you watch his tape for 8 seconds, you can kind of see the similarities between he and Arik Armstead, right? The body types. And Arik is a guy that obviously as his career went on, played more inside, but could play outside. And you're going to get the same from Yetur Gross-Matos. You can play inside, he can play outside. Staley is the GM with some of these moves. I mean, obviously connected to Leonard Floyd, coached him with the Rams, is his DC, coached him in Chicago, got good football out of him. If anybody you bring in the room, you should listen to. I know he's got to, he's trying to work the rep back up. But if you hire somebody because you think they're smart, you should also take their input. Doesn't mean doesn't Doesn't mean you listen to everything they say. Question, is the Bosa mom their manager agent? I still don't know why the family goes online and does that. I guess they want the fans or people to know. And of course, their organization. No, they have an agent. Mom is mom. She went on Instagram. People, I'm sure, are tagging her. At least she's seeing photos of Joey photoshopped in a Niner uniform. I mean, just imagine, here she is, coach. Here she is around Nick. Joey comes to so many games. Joey's at a ton of games. It's a mom. She's a mom. That's a totally reasonable mom thing to do, or just / family member thing to do. Judd says all Arik's charities are in the Bay. He's not moving over $1 million. I say add it as a Super Bowl incentive. You can run charities from other places. Richard said, who cares what Bosa's mom wants? Well, I think everything is information, right? So if Cheryl Bosa is out there posting pictures of Joey in a Niner uniform, and maybe it's just, hey, maybe it's nothing. We know it's what she wants. We can, I think, guess that the Bosas would like to play together. I think they've said they'd like to play together at some point. And so to me, it's not nothing. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it's not nothing. Everything is something. Our job is to figure out how much of a something it is. Is it a nice thought? For example, Azeez Al-Shire being a member of the Titans, but showing up to Niner games last year after the Titan season was done was something. Was it enough of something to make up a gap between like the $11 million he got and maybe the $5 million the Niners wanted to pay? No, that wasn't enough of something. But everything is something. And, it's a little bit of insight into what she would want. 3-shot 214. I'm a mom and I don't do that. LOL. Okay. I want to know what your kids are doing. Like what you would be posting about, I guess, like, oh man, Bobby and James might be the same science class. I don't know what. That's sincere. I'm pro. This is a pro mom. I'm taking a stand on pro mom. Okay. I think she does some like luxury real estate from what I saw, just when I went to her page. Azeez was never going to happen. Too much money. Buckner, I would think also too much money. Are the college basketball videos coming soon, says Robert. I don't know what that means, Robert. I am going to Vegas tomorrow for the Pac-12 tournament. So what college basketball videos are you looking for? Micah says, if the Kelsey mom said something about it, no one had a problem with it. No one's got a problem with it. What time do cuts happen? So my haircut's at 1:00 today. Same time the new league year starts. Not an ideal bit of scheduling by the NFL, but sometimes you have to make tough decisions. And Laz said he could only cut me at 1 today, and I'm going to Vegas tomorrow. I need a haircut. So, we got to keep it tight. Ed asked, does this guy live in the marina? Used to be in Cal Hollow for a long time. No longer, though. 1 p.m. Pacific. Symmetry 7. Hug your mom if she's still around. Amen to that. Did that on Saturday. Felt very good. Pac-12 still around for the week when it comes to men's hoops. Okay, that's that for this. If you're watching this live, it's 9:08 a.m. Pacific. In about 30 minutes, I'm going to hop on over with Larry Krueger. Actually, be on this channel too. Do a stream on my YouTube channel here and his. If you're on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that. If you're watching this on Twitter, that video is about to get deleted. I just throw it up there so people know this is here. Hop over to the YouTube. I'm not going to do the Twitter thing forever. I'm just showing people that it exists, but you come over to the YouTube. I think this is on Instagram. Somebody asked me, by the way, how to send me. People are DMing me logos. I have a couple hat samples. I just got an alert this morning from DHL are on the way, so I'm going to check those out. But if you want to send me, people have said like they want to send me logos, and somebody said don't have an Instagram. DM me on Twitter or email guyhaberman1@gmail.com. Okay, I got to go do a couple things because I'm going to be back up here in like 25 minutes, and I'll talk to everybody soon. Later.